She looks good in the morning, and she don't even know it. I don't want you to go yet. Can we stay in the moment? Don't look in the mirror, look into my eyes. When you see your reflection, you'll see what I like. You look good in the morning, and you don't even know it. I knew that. I got this feeling on a summer day. I knew it when I saw her face. I just thought that she could be the one. I got this feeling on a summer day. I knew it when I saw her face. I just
Kia ora, good evening and welcome to the First Call Live. Happy Waitangi Day for those around our beautiful country. I hope you got a chance to get out and enjoy it. If you are joining us on Thursday night on Facebook Live from somewhere else in the world, come join us someday. We have great pies and plenty of wonderful racehorses. Many of them are bred in the Waikato, which is great news for the two men next to me because Waikato racing has its richest day of the year on Saturday. All roads lead to Te Rapa. So gentlemen, for once, not needing to drive too far as we go to work, Aidan and Jason.
I was just thinking, Michael, I've been through a fair few of those pies, so I know them well, and you're 100% correct.
We do make good pies in this country, do we not?
Unfortunately, it means dropping off a button off the suit. But what a day it's going to be. Legends Day at Te Rapa, and think of the Te Rapa racecourse very fondly and remember all the great racehorses that I've grown up with over time, and to be able to go back there many years later and to potentially see Tiako Shark and a potential rising star in Dragon Leap, some super fillies. Even though the field sizes aren't large, the quality is very high, Aidan.
Yeah, Anderson's pies, Hawara, they're the best. Yeah,
This conversation could take a long time if we start getting into pies at trackside, because there are some experts. But wonderful race meeting. There's only 32 horses in the 4 group races, but many of these are horses who could well end up in Australia. And talking about Australia, this morning we saw a very special trial coming out of Tauranga, where Bostonian, a 2-time Group 1 winner, was excellent. And Melody Bell just sort of floated around without the hood on today. What did you make of that?
She was okay, and obviously they've run along a little bit. By all accounts, they're really happy with the way that she's progressing. It was just a trial, and obviously she's got a Group 1 assignment coming up in Melbourne. She's going to head to the Futurity. Bostonian was really good, though. It was good to see him return like that. She's All Mine, a horse who was a Group 3 winner over the Cup week in Christchurch. It was pretty good as well. But yeah, but back to the serious note, this is some racing we've got going on here. I'm really looking forward to seeing Tiako Shark. Those fillies look great. Dragon Leap and company as well, up against a couple of pretty handy fillies in that race. And it's a race day where I'm just really excited about it. I can't remember a Te Rapa meeting that had this much anticipation. Well, takes me back to Sunline days.
Well, and there's a couple of other factors in play too. The fillies race, we have the 2 favourites are also the joint leaders for Filly of the Year. That's very prestigious for them heading forward. And these Australian races coming up with the All-Star Mile and races like the Championships. Horses who perform well here get their chance. If you don't race well here and you don't race well at the Carnival, the Derby Carnival coming up at Ellerslie, you simply can't go. So there's a lot at stake this week.
We're talking about All-Star Mile. There could be a bit of a twist in the New Zealand tale with Catalyst. Damien Lane getting suspended yesterday. Michael at Bendigo.
Yeah, Damien got suspended yesterday. That suspension would cover Catalyst's Australian debut, the C.S. Hayes Stakes at Melbourne on Saturday week, if he cops the suspension. Now, he is considering appealing against it, but of course, if he does that and doesn't get any time off, it gets deeper into the carnivals, which is not ideal for him. We're hearing that James McDonald, we texted him before, but he's obviously busy making money somewhere, is going to be the stand-in rider for Catalyst if he does go to the C.S. Hayes, but James wouldn't be available to ride for the Australian Guineas because of commitments there in Sydney. So Damien Lane is still committed to Catalyst for the Australian Guineas and the All-Star Mile, but we could see James McDonald potentially, from what we're hearing, jump on for the CSAs on Saturday week?
I can't remember an autumn that's been more exciting in my time in racing than what we could potentially see. We've just come off the Karaka Million, a massive race day that was following on from the Christmas Carnival, New Zealand Cup Carnival, but now into this autumn we've got Catalyst, who won brilliantly at Ellerslie, who is now targeted for Australia for the All-Star Mile, generating votes. Melody Bell, a 10-time Group 1 winner who's won a Group 1 in Australia now. After the trial this morning, she's going over. We've got Dragon Leap, who's the favourite for the New Zealand Derby. Now, if things go well tomorrow and he gets through our Derby and performs well there, well, he could be seen at the Championships making a hit and run on the Derby there. There's a lot of high-quality New Zealand horseflesh that we're getting tastes of, trials, races here, that we can focus on there.
Bostonian's proven 2 Group 1s.
Exactly, 2 Group 1s
Shark
there.
ran third, of course, on a Cox Plate, second in Epsom. And then we're talking about a horse like Avantage, who we'll see again on Saturday, who could well go back there and was third in a Group 1 last year. And that's just some of them before we get into
don't forget Probability, she was second in a flight stakes.
And also, let's not forget, we do have not an option, talking to Tony Pike today. He'll be potentially heading to Sydney. All the 3-year-old fillies, Tua Illicit could be there, Loire could be there.
So often we're sort of thinking about the odd 3-year-old that might be attacking sort of the autumn in Sydney, but we have a big group of high quality horses, some of which have competed already at Group 2, Group 1 level in Australia with success, and others. So it's a very exciting time.
Talking about big money, it's not quite that big, but it's $900. Let's check your chance to win a jackpot here. If you're watching on Facebook Live on Thursday night, all you have to do is be smarter than us.
Sounds really easy.
Most people at home are going, you get $900 for being smarter than those idiots.
We don't have 900 million to give away, Michael.
If you're on Facebook Live on Thursday night, you log in, you have a $100 bet option for us, or if you're the winner, we'll give you a $100 bet option. If your winning bet adds up to more than all of ours, or if none of ours win, you get the $900. So it sounds easy, but of course the key factor is you getting a winner. And I would suggest you aim for around the $5 mark. So if 2 of the 3 of us or Brendan Popperwell are short of $3 and we get 2 wins out of 3 or 2 wins out of 4, you can still beat us. Don't be tipping $2 chances, to be honest. It probably doesn't give you much chance of winning. Okay, even though the richest race at Te Rapa is the Herbie Dyke for $400,000, probably the most anticipated race is the sprint, the BCD, with $200,000. The Shark is back, but you're not getting much of a bite from the bookies. $1.70 there versus the last start Telegraph winner at $2.70. Gentlemen, there's some wonderful horses in here, horses who have won Group 1's last start, like the Mitigator, horses like Enso's Lad, who have been, of course, to Ascot, but it's pretty hard to go past the Tangerine Army once again.
A massive query in this race is going to be where everything settles, not only after 100 or 200 metres, but what might happen 600 metres into the race, Aidan. What are you thinking?
The Mitigator's the likely leader here. I just think that everything falls into his lap. He was very good on speed in the Thorndon last time. He drops back to 1,400 metres. He hasn't been at 1,400 metres, I don't think, since he ran second to True Enough in the spring sprint at Hastings at Group 3 level. But this is a bit stronger. You've got Volpe Veloce, who will take up a handy position from 3. Then you've got Tiako Shark, who I'm sure will go forward. What do they do with Enso's Lad, though? He seems to be a better horse when he's in the fight, but he just doesn't have that early speed to must, but I think he can get there at some point. If Tiako Shark's in front of Avantage, then that's obviously probably just advantage to him. Kiwi Ida, just from the bad barrier draw, gets back, and yeah, from what we saw when they clashed last time, Volpe Veloce and Kiwi Ida, obviously Volpe was 4 wide that whole trip, whereas Kiwi Ida had a better run. So from those trips, I'd expect the Volpe Veloce would be in a position to turn the tables.
If you want to have a bet in this race, there's one man whose opinion matters more than anybody else's, and his name is Jamie Richards.
I will not love you tonight. Give me everything tonight.
Jamie, really exciting heading into this weekend. We see Tiako Shark and Avantage in the BDC Group Sprint. Just tell us, how are they preparing?
Yeah, they've prepared well. Avantage just bounced through her win at Wellington in good order, and 3 weeks into this race seems to suit her, and she worked nicely here this morning. And Tiako Shark, he's done everything right. He's trolled well, he's had an exhibition gallop, and we think he's forward enough for 1,400.
She steps into Wait for Age now. Of course, the Telegraph was pretty much the same, but this is the big guns, isn't it? Where all the stars are all coming together.
Yeah, I guess there's a couple of fresh faces, but there's a few different form lines coming into it out of races like the Westbury and bits and pieces like that. So yeah, there's fresh faces in there, but off the way that she won last time, I didn't think she could have done much more. And she's certainly going to be very competitive.
Okay, this weekend, new rider booking required with Opie going to Te Akau Shark. Who have you got?
Troy rides her. He rides her in pretty much all of her work here, and he was a logical choice. He does a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and he's been riding particularly well. I don't think they don't see him that often because he has weight problems, but when he rides, his strike rate's very good, and we're really glad that he's in the team and on the horse.
Okay, Te Akau Shark.
Yeah, he's good. He worked well at Ellis the other night, Karaka night, and that just sort of just tidied him up a little bit, almost like a second trial for him. And yeah, he's ready to go 1400 first up. We think suits. It's going to be interesting. Not a lot of rain around for him, so hopefully they can get some water on the track.
Okay, we saw him run 1200 metres pretty well at Te Rapa Fresh last preparation, but obviously that was on a more rain-affected track. What do you expect from him this Saturday?
We're expecting him to run very well. We think he's class horse. His form in the spring suggests that. And I think 1400 now at his stage, now that he's a little bit older, does suit him a little bit better than the 1200 that he ran in the Foxbridge. He was off a long break then, so 1200 probably suited him, but he's only had a month off, a couple of good solid hit-outs, and 1400 first up looks ideal. Okay,
yeah, you've had them against each other in track work this morning. They're against each other this weekend. Who comes out on top?
Well, Avantage has got the fitness edge. She's going very well in great form, but Te Akau Shark's class horse of the field. Proven Group 1 weight for age performer on both sides of the Tasman, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. It's not a bad problem to have.
Okay, if you're getting sick of seeing Jamie Richards on trackside, you might need to find a new hobby, because at the moment, gentlemen, he's won feature races for 3 of the last 4 Saturdays, 2 of them, of course, Karaka Million Night. He holds the entire key to this race with the horse quality, but of course the jockeys hold the key to where they settle. What are we thinking? Because Avantage is more advanced than Te Akau Shark, but maybe Te Akau Shark's just a better horse?
Maybe.
I think there's no doubt that Te Akau Shark's the better horse, but you make a good point of where each are in their preparations. Avantage deep into it, she's just coming off a Group 1 win, where she's screwed right down to perform close to her very best, and Te Akau Shark isn't screwed right down, but I think he's going to be forward enough, particularly from what Jamie's suggesting, from the work and the gallops that they've given him, Aidan. I just don't know that Avantage, if she settles behind the Shark, I don't think she's going to be able to go past him, all things being equal.
Yeah, that's my thinking as well, although you look at what she was able to reel off for a last 600 of 31.79 in the Telegraph. She was very good that day. Obviously runs down Enzo's Lad. This is where Enzo's Lad's at his best, isn't he? He got in that fight. And then obviously Avantage comes up on the outside, looks as though she's going to go past for a couple of length win, and he fights back strongly. The horse who lowered Te Akau Shark's colours, that's Endless Drama, is getting home nicely enough for 6th there. He just might be an improved horse leading into this one, especially at Te Rapa, where he's gone so well.
About him, he said he wants some give in the track, and that's going to be crucial for this race. Let's be honest about it. If it comes up a 3 after 1 or 2 races, that's not great for Te Akau Shark. But a 4 that holds at a 4, and I think everybody who's heading to these major carnivals and derbies and oaks, they want a 4 or even a 5 to start the day, because
I was along there on
people don't want a hard track
on Wednesday at Te Rapa, and obviously we had a whole lot of people there who'd gone out onto the track. Graham Rogerson gave it a ringing endorsement as well, just saying it's the best he's seen Te Rapa look. John Otham had gone out and inspected the track at that point. He was very happy with the way it was building, and I think they've done a pretty good job. The track looks green. We just need to see, obviously, for these horses ahead of what they've got coming up, just to have enough given there so that they can sort of get out of this and get into their main targets. But at the same time, we want to see a good surface so we see a true betting race, a true run race. Are
there only 2 winning chances in this race?
If they're both at their best, I think Te Akau Shark is clearly the horse to beat. And if he settles 3rd or 4th, then I think Opie is going to hold the key to moving when he wants to, and there's nothing in the race that when Te Akau Shark's at his best that can finish faster than him over 600 metres given clear running. You know, it's a 1400 metre race. Yes, Endless Drama beat him. fresh up in the Foxbridge, but that was over 1200. I think the distance is significant and a benefit to him. He's a super horse. Now, we've seen Catalyst really come to the fore in the last 5 months. He himself is an outstanding quality animal, but before then you're thinking Tiako Shark and Melody Bell is clearly our two best. And so I think, all things being equal, he's got a couple of links on them. That's a bold thing to say in a Group 1, given that Avantage is coming off a very good Group 1 win, but I just think he's that good.
Oh, he is that good. Like he's run second in Epsom, third in the Cox Plate. I don't know how many of these horses would be capable of doing that at his very best, and we've seen him at his best. He won the Copelands by 6 the last time we saw him on a good track.
Not extended, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when he's come out, he's been vulnerable over 1,200 metres on a rain-affected track first up in a Foxridge when he was beaten by Endless Drama. I think he's got a class edge.
So is he a bet at $1.70?
He's a bet in this race.
Okay.
I just think you put him down on ratings. Look at him, he's 112. You know, under a weight for age race, he just should be too good.
And his international rating's 118.
Absolutely. He's had that trial where he's very good and behind Catalyst, like you say. He's had an exhibition gallop when I know they were really happy with him, and he's continued to train on. So while they're really happy, Jamie Richards and their team with Avantage, I just think that Tiako Shark might be a different beast.
In the last couple of years, the weight for age scale has seen the mares very competitive in some of our best weight for age races. Two of them in this one, away from Avantage, are Kiwi Ida and Volpe Veloce. We saw them at Ellerslie on Karaka Million Night, and this is a rarity, boys. I mean, Volpe Veloce is a high-class horse who loves Ellerslie, but Kiwi Ida, a rare South Island victor in a Group 2 at Ellerslie. Don't see them very often, but what she comes up against on Saturday is a big step up.
And I think the biggest strength of hers in this race is going to be a weakness. So when she's been at her best, she's settled just behind the speed, smothered up and released for a 250 metre burst, of which she's got a very good 250 metre sprint. Yeah. We saw her expected to win during the carnival there at Riccarton, and she was exposed facing the breeze, and she got beaten by inferior mares and sort of an upset result. And when after that she was ridden with some patience and cover, she was able to do that, and that's what she did this day at Ellerslie. She can't sit last, I don't think, and run past the likes of a Tiako Shark or come off the back of an Avantage if they run this race genuinely. That's how I see it. But you know, that's what you have to assess in a high quality Group 1 race such as this. So that's her issue. I know she's been backed, but yeah, I thought she'd actually open a little bit longer than that, but maybe it's just Volpe.
So looking at that market there, for people watching, whether it's Thursday night or Friday on Trackside 1, how do you make money out of that if you are attacking?
Oh, well, you either bet hard on the Shark at 1.7, and I don't genuinely like steering people into the tomato sauce, but that's like, he's the best horse in the race. There's obviously a query in the back of everyone's mind, I'm sure, including Jamie Richards. He is fresh up and there are overseas assignments, so he's not going to be 100%, but he's not going to be far away. They still want to win a Group 1 with him. He hasn't done it yet, but we know he's a Group 1 quality horse. So they'll be wanting to see him win this race. There's no dramas about motivation here.
Yep. So do you have a bet, though, in the race with your bank? Do you have a bet?
With my bank, you've prompted something that I wanted to keep under wraps, because we're hoping for a little bit of a special from the bookmakers. So I'm hoping for a special double.
Stick around. We're going to update you.
Could you not sense my coyness and shyness there, Michael?
I've never thought of you as either coy or shy. Do you want to wait as well, or would you like to punch on now?
I'm going to play Tiako Shark on a win basis. I'm happy to have him. I'm happy to have him as my bet of the weekend as well. Just going back into that Westbury, which in that race, Kiwi Ida got everything in her favour, right? She just the race shape suited her perfectly. You had to be behind midfield to be a chance in the race, and she was. Volpe Veloce was never closer than 4 wide. Never closer. So we had to do a whole lot more work. There wasn't much in it at the finish. I would be surprised if Kiwi Ida can beat Volpe Veloce in this. I saw Volpe Veloce on Tuesday morning at Matamata. She looks great. She's third up into this preparation. She was 4th in this race last year. She looks better. She's obviously got to go up against the Tiako guns, but in a head-to-head market here, I would be betting Volpe Veloce.
There's a very good chance they could end up in a head-to-head, because the bookies tend to frame their head-to-heads around horses who are similar prices. You know, it's a special hour on Trackside 1 on Saturday afternoon when you have a $200,000 Group 1 race, but the race before is $400,000, gentlemen. Our richest Wait for Age race, the Herbie Dyke over the 2,000 metres, and plenty of inform horses. Lots of recent winners in the race. An Australian there, Gino Severini is stepping up. Camino Ricosso has returned to his former home in the Waikato. But the one horse, the defending champions here by the way too, the one horse who's in rock solid form and has been for the entire season is True Enough, and he does get our best jockey as well.
He's been good, obviously winning that spring sprint we spoke of earlier on, went on and won a Copeland's Bakeries mile.
Zabeel Classic.
Zabeel Classic as well, after running third in the Captain Cook Stakes. So he's just such a genuine racehorse. I really like him. I think I've mapped this a couple of times because I wondered how keen that they'd be on retaining the trail with On the Rocks. And I'm just not too sure that they want to be there. But the one thing that I'm most certain of is that Ryan Elliott will use On the Rocks to stay one off the fence. I think he'll be because otherwise he's going to find the fence from barrier 2. So he's got to use On the Rocks as the horse he stays on the outside of. Otherwise he's going to find himself trapped and in trouble like in the Thorndon Mile. So Gino Severini, I think, can cross the On the Rocks. True Enough presses forward. Obviously, we're going to see Camino Ricosso roll, and he did take them all out of their comfort zone last time out. Bowden, Lava, Tiptronic, I think, have to go back from wide draws. Is that the way you saw it?
Tempo good, moderate, or how do you manage?
Camino Ricosso, Chris Johnson will rate this horse in front, just as he tried to do in the Trentham Stakes, and he did so well, to be fair. He took all those horses out of their comfort zone back in the field. How did you see the map here, Jason?
Yeah, I thought that a horse like Tiptronic might be a horse that could be used a little bit positively early in behind Camino Ricosso. Gino Severini would be the other one. This, to me, I thought was an alpha jockey race. This is a classic weight for age contest where there isn't a great deal between 5 or 6 horses, and it's going to be the best ride, the best jockey on the day on these horses that win, assuming they're all presented at their best, which you expect them to be, without seeing them parade or anything like that.
Here's the Zabeel coming out of Boxing Day at Ellerslie. Here is True Enough, who beats many of the rivals he meets this week. Tiptronic is wider on the track, Fiscal Fantasy just in behind. This is him, boys. This is what he does. He settles handy to the speed. He never gives anything away. He keeps trying. He's rock hard fit. The hard track won't bother him. There's just nothing about him not to like.
And this is James McDonald doing the alpha jockey thing in that race. The margin's about a head or a neck, I think, over Fiscal Fantasy in second there. And, you know, he's just going to be tracking the speed. If they run genuinely, you know he's going to have the fitness. 2,000 metres weight for age is perfect. So to me, he's going to be in the right spot. And remember, if Te Rapa for some reason dries out by 5 minutes to 4 when this race is run, and that track comes back to a good 3, then it won't be any disadvantage, I wouldn't be thinking, being right on the pace or just behind the pace on the rail where this horse is likely to be, tracking Camino Ricosso, possibly Tiptronic the whole way, maybe sitting in 3rd or 4th, and just getting that beautiful run with the shape of the race. So to me, I'm surprised he's not favoured, actually.
Bowden dashed just too late after he got stuck in traffic in that race, and it was
Should we go back and look
really
at
good
Manala
run.
Pudi to give you an example of how good he was after that? Because
The one thing about the
coming to
Zabeel Classic is
very
I
good.
think it was a race that favoured the swoopers. I think it's like, we saw only 2 horses in the first 6 finish in the top 4. One was True Enough, and the other was Mongolian Marshall. And so I'm thinking that you've got to give extra credit to True Enough for that.
Absolutely.
And so obviously Bowden was very good, and this is the Martin Cup where he wins nicely. And he's a horse who will be interestingly just where they place him. I could see him being the horse who tracks Camino Ricosso. I could see him being a horse who gets back. But he's high class. I want to see him one day being treated like St Reims of old, where the horse that they just put into the race, let him do his thing, let him dominate these middle distance races. And I think that's the type of horse he could become.
New
I really
rider this
like
week,
him.
Lee Thinnis jumps on because,
Yeah.
of course, Ryan Elliott is committed to his mum's horse. So that raises an interesting point with Rock on Wood. No luck in the Thorndon Mile. Is he good enough to win this?
I think he's good enough. I think he's got the class. I don't think there's too many questions about that. The question for me is that he's never been tried beyond 1,600 metres, yet he's been tried beyond 1,600 metres for the first time in a weight for age Group 1 that has brought together a field of this type of quality. Now, he's very unlucky. Look at Ryan, he's got nowhere to go there. He pushes out onto On the Rocks, who is again another horse who was pretty unlucky in this race, and he really quickens late.
As a 3-year-old, he got over 2,000 metres twice, but you would argue that was, I mean, he's a far better horse than that time. And like he lined up in the Waikato Guineas behind Xbox and Mongolian Conqueror, and they used him that day, and he was entitled to finish better, and he didn't.
Yeah, sorry, I mean as an old
Yeah,
horse,
100%. Yeah, I know what you meant. But at Awapuni, he went to the Manawatu Classic, and things just didn't fall his way. I think definitely he's a better horse now. And you, one thing though, you need to give him his first half of the race to him. I don't think Rock on Wood's the type of horse, if you use early, that he's necessarily going to give you too much late, and Ryan Elliott knows him so well, and that's the niggly thing with him. He's going to be in the back half of the field, but you know what, like if he's given clear running when the sprint goes on, he's got a devastating turn of foot, one of the best in the race.
So you didn't have as handy as I did in the map?
No, I don't think so. I think they'll be running along, and he'll just want him where he's happy, and that might be 6 or 7 lengths off a sort of a tearaway leader.
We're deep into the summer, so all of us you're watching at home, we know most of these horses. We know what they can and can't do, and we have had a pretty good chance to rate them. The one horse you may not have seen a lot of is, of course, the Australian rider Lover. She's been back here before and was third last time. Let's hear from her trainer, expat Kiwi, John Sargent.
But Lover going through her gears, gets a length clear from Taikamochi and Mr. Garcia, and Lover will make it the Cups double here.
Just trying to get a Group 1 on her resume. She's Group 2, Group 3 enlisted numerous times, so it'd be good to try and get a Group 1 with her. It's a nice big track Tarapa. It's probably a bit like, say, Kembla Grange the other way round. And she's used to running well, as she's run well at Flemington that way round. And Kobe Jennings flies out tomorrow. I think he deserves this ride, and he suits the horse. She'll get back, so the draw's probably not over important, and he'll just ride her how he has at Randwick the last 2 starts. They're probably below top tier of here Group 1 horses, and hence we've gone there to try and get an easier Group 1, but they're still good staying New Zealand horses, and as you know, they can come here and be up with the best. So it'll be a good test, but she's fitting well is the main thing.
The man with the mo, John Sargent, thanks to the guys and girls from Sky for getting us that information. I thought she was too tight in the market, to be honest. I thought she's a really nice mare. They're over here for what they perceive to be potentially an easier Group 1 kill. But I don't think there's much easy about this race.
No, exactly. We haven't had too many Australian horses come over and beat us up in recent times as well. And you can remember True Excelsior coming over for the sprints last year, and Winter Bride coming over for the sprints. And it's been a little while since they've come over, but she is very good. Her last 2 wins in Sydney were high class. She was very good in running third and behind Nicoletta and Superior in the New Zealand Thoroughbred Breeder Stakes here back in April. And speaking to Campbell Ashby, who's over here as the travelling foreman for John Sargent, he's saying that she's back here in much better condition than what she was last time. So you can't write her off. You've got to respect her, but there is a job at hand.
I reckon this is exactly the type of race she's been looking for. She's going to get a genuinely run race, I'd expect, with Camino Rocoso. That's what we expect. She's looking for 2,000 metres. The fact is, last time, okay, slightly different race, but she carried 59 and won very easily. Now, we're taking Rock on Wood winning handicap carrying 59 at Awapuni, beating old-timer Sampson, and beat Salsafe, who won the Wellington Cup and was given weight to them. But those aren't dissimilar sort of lead-up races, what she's done and what Rock on Wood has also done.
Look, if you look at this field, you've got so many cases for so many horses and very few negatives about many of them. Maybe Tiptronic getting barrier 10, which is a tricky start, to 2,000 at Tarapa. Fiscal Fantasy's been really good, On the Rocks has been really good. So once you put all this together on a Thursday night, and a lot can change, what do you like as your bet?
There you go, Jason.
I'm happy to bet True Enough at this stage, and I also made Lover a bet. Look, she might well get out a little bit. I don't disagree with that, but those are the 2 horses that I want to be playing in the race. I have a feeling that Jason Waddell is going to be really positive on Tiptronic and will make sure that he's put right in the race. And we know that right now, this time of the year, he's run well before he ran well in this race last year. So he might be a slightly bigger price, and I see there has been some specking, but happy with True Enough and happy with Lover.
Okay, I've played a treble as my bet in the race. So I've got 5 horses that I'm covering off here. I think they're around about the first 5 in market. I don't think we've got it there. So, okay.
So what are they?
Too many numbers.
True Enough will be one of them?
True Enough, Bowden, Rock on Wood, Lover, and on the rocks is right in there as well.
Okay, while you boys were chatting away there, James McDonald got back to us on the WhatsApp. Thank you, James. He will be riding Catalyst in the CS Hayes if Damien Lane is unavailable. So if Damien Lane does not choose to appeal or does not get off on appeal or a stay which covers the CS Hayes on Saturday week out of Flemington, J-Mac will be on Catalyst, who he saw on Karaka Million Night, and he was salivating over. As we head to the break, we spoke to John Sargent earlier. Here he is winning this induction of the Great Wait for Age race. Before it was called the Herbie Dyke, with Red Ruler back in 2011.
Red Ruler in front from Booming, in behind them Passchendaele, Red Ruler still in front, Passchendaele arriving late with Booming, Red Ruler and Love Duplessis back in Group 1 winning form.
Right off my back, I don't mind, 'cause I'm gonna set this house on.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Don't be pipped at the post with TAB's bonus bag. Place a fixed odds win bet through your account on selected races and get up to $30 back as a bonus bet if your pick comes second, third or fourth. TAB's bonus bag. Now you're in the game.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
Tonight we go all night long. We party like Postman.
Bonneval on the outside going to it, the Baker Forsman, Quinella, Bonneval. She's dashed away, Dujon Bleu with a brilliant turn of foot. It's Imelda Mary in front. Imelda Mary will win the Cambridge Stud Sue Tristram Ellis Classic.
Going home.
So often it's the pathway to success in the New Zealand Bloodstock filly of the year. The two favourites in the Classic this year, the renamed Ellis Classic after Karen and David, actually are 16.5 points apiece. Aidan Wadley, Loire and Jennifer Eccles are locked together for the big title, and you could almost make a case they should be locked together for this market.
Yeah, exactly, and don't forget about the $900 if you get onto Facebook as well to play this. It's interesting, isn't it, because you've got that dynamic of seeing Two Illicit and Travelling Light go on and taking the boys in their Legacy Lodge Waikato Guineas, whereas the other girls are more headlong chasing that filly of the year title. We've seen Loire come up with 280, second favourite in behind Jennifer Eccles, who does draw to be a lot handier. We'll have a look at that speed map shortly. Showbill at 380 here, and interesting runner, Pineapple Girl, who won by a margin at Sale last time out, sent over from Mike Moroney to be prepared for a New Zealand Oaks tilt with Pam Gerard.
Well, she's got form at 2,200 and longer metres, but gee, there's some sharpies here. Now, spoke to Tony Pike today. He was very confident Brahma Sunset would lead Aidan. You see Coco Barchi being outside. Showbill handy. This looks good for Jennifer Eccles. Now, I spoke to Jason Waddell today. He said, it's a great draw. It's perfect for the first 1,600 metres of the race.
Yep.
The last 400 might be the worry, because these sort of riders, Leith Innes, Opie Bosson, aren't the sort of blokes who are going to let him out of any gaps.
Yeah, he's so good at getting out of gaps though, isn't he? Did he say he'd get the trail?
He said he'll be in the trail. It's perfect for where she needs to be, but he said there's two things that could happen. If I think the leader's rolling up the track down the back straight, if I'm 80% sure she's going to roll off, I'll wait and go the inside. If I'm not, he said, it could be in trouble, he said, because it's really hard to move, as jockeys call it, pushing out, to move a Leith or an Opie. He said, this is going to be a very tactical race.
It sure will be. Here's an interesting spot too with Loire, who's run past Jennifer Eccles the last two times, even though Jennifer Eccles has run quicker closing sectionals. So it's an interesting race, and it's very similar to the Waikato Guineas. Just there's 7 runners, and it will be tactical, like you say.
Jason, they've met 4 times, Jennifer Eccles and Loire. Remarkably, Jennifer Eccles has only beaten Loire home once. It tends to be like this. Loire gets in front of her, Jennifer Eccles chases her really hard. The only time she's beaten her home in a race, every time they've raced, Jennifer Eccles has finished one behind, apart from the time Loire fibrillated, of course, in the soliloquy back in October.
And it's interesting that Jennifer Eccles actually went past Loire and then Loire fought back. All the while, Showbill has a length margin of them close to the rail. We know that was the place to be. And tactically, Opie Bosson, Murray Baker, Andrew Forsman got Showbill perfect there in the Desert Gold. You're looking at a 7-horse field. So horses like Loire and Jennifer Eccles just aren't going to be standing the start that they were standing Showbill on this day. And we know that they have electric turns of foot between them. Does that make sense? Anyway, they're fast. They're both real fast late. They can both sprint quick.
Could it be a case of if Loire gets the momentum up on Jennifer Eccles, that could be a deciding factor?
I actually, sorry to interrupt, I know you're going to probably answer that question, but I actually don't think that Jennifer Eccles, I don't think it's a bad thing if she's beaten to a run at the top of the straight, because she's got such a dynamic 200-metre sprint.
Yeah.
If she's held and she just gets luck for that 200, as long as it's not 3 lengths she's having to make up, if it's a length and a half the last 200, then she can explode. So I don't think Jason Waddell will be panicking too much if Loire gets first run.
She's been dictated to by bad draws in basically every race, except for the time when James hopped on and won the 8 carat with her. But Loire looks like a special filly as well. So there's 2 really good ones, and the way that Showbill won the Desert Gold last time, beating them both. And I know we sort of say, well, they're the eye catchers and she was in the right place, but she is still on the up. I just don't want to be ruling her out completely against 2 high-class ones.
This could go a long way to deciding the New Zealand Bloodstock Filly of the Year. Of course, last year was a dead heat between Imelda Mary and Queen of Diamonds for the title. The man who has been navigating that path and choosing where to go and where not to go with Jennifer Eccles is Sean Ritchie.
She's doing terrific. She's been super consistent all the way through the 3-odd fillies series, so we'll stick with that series, and I don't see any reason. She's given us no indication why that shouldn't continue.
She has been just a revelation this season, hasn't she? Every time she's hits the line strongly, and condition this weekend, how is she?
Yeah, that's right. Look, she's consistently running the fastest last 600, which is good. She's had wide gates, and obviously a good gate would be very helpful, because she perhaps doesn't have to get quite as far back as she has to from those particularly wide barriers, especially going forward to an Oaks. So that's paramount to us, and if she can get a bit of cover and run the 2,000 out, which we think she will, she's going to take some holding out for sure.
New jockey this weekend, Jason Waddell. How does that affect the dynamic?
Oh well, look, we've had some nice riders who were forced to ride her in that, as I say, in that particular pattern that hasn't exactly suited, but he's got great hands, Jason, and he's a very good, probably the best reader of a race while it's unfolding, so I don't doubt there'll be any disadvantage there.
Okay, yeah, safely through this weekend. What does she do next?
Look, she'll head to probably Hastings or perhaps the Sunline, certainly one of the lead into the Oakses, assuming she's run the 2,000 metres out strongly, of course, at Te Rapa, and if that's the case, we'll press on to the Oaks. Once again, I suppose the same as some of these other good fillies like Travelling Light. If we aren't confident she's run the 2,000 out strong enough, we have to reassess and come back to the mile and perhaps even look at Australia.
What can punters expect of her this weekend?
More of the same. She's. I don't think she's let punters down in any way. She's certainly run terrific races every time, and I wouldn't expect it to be any different again on Saturday.
New rider for Jennifer Eccles is Jason Waddell, and quite a remarkable statistic for Jason Waddell coming up on Saturday. This is the sort of thing you only ever hear about gentlemen for visiting riders, a Ryan Moore or a James McDonald. He's on a massive chance in Dragon Leap in the Guineas. He's on Jennifer Eccles, who is the favourite for the Ellis Classic. He's on Tiptronic, and he's on the Mitigator. 4 group race rides. He's never ridden any of them at any stage of their career in a trial or ever before.
Wow.
And he's never sat on Dragon Leap. He said to the Sullivan Scott team, I'll pop across and ride it this week. No need, we're good as gold. I'll ride it tomorrow. No, it's having a swim. I could have come last Saturday. No, we changed to galloping day. He's never sat on any of the horses he's riding in 4
It's pretty
group
hard
races.
to imagine that that's happened much at all anywhere, because when you consider...
Outside Ryan Moore going to Hong Kong or something, it's almost unheard
but even
of.
Ryan, they don't, at least one of the 4 races on International Day, the 4 Group 1s he would have ridden for Aidan O'Brien, as sort of a general rule.
I can't remember that exact situation developing for a domestic jockey, and it's not like they're horses from Invercargill, they're from Waikato.
Yeah.
So, remarkable stat, and I think he's got a huge chance of winning 2 of the big ones. One horse, talking about visitors, who we don't know much about, is Pineapple Lump. Here is the
I
tropical.
got him.
I do like a pineapple up, especially after a pie. Here's pineapple up winning over 2,238 metres at Sale. Boys, I'll be honest with you. Is this too dour to win the Ellis Classic?
I think it is, Michael. Like, in seriousness, she looks like she's already looking for a mile and a half. And I think there's some real quality to Loire, Jennifer Eccles, Showbeal in this race that are possibly going to be too sharp. The scenario that I could envisage, Aidan, is that maybe down the back Michael Coleman could light things up and turn it into a real staying test to draw any weakness of not being able to stay outside of Loire and
yeah,
and
but
off
would he
Jennifer
want to
Eccles,
do that when she's over here for an Oaks? The Oaks is the main aim, obviously.
Yes.
So this is a lead up to that. So I don't think they're going to try and jeopardise anything. But I do agree with you and think it's probably the only way that Pineapple Girl could be a winning prospect here. But when you look at the closing stages there, she's really impressive. There's a huge margin back to third as well. She can obviously stay, but that's the question. This is going to be a 7-horse tactical race, and I just don't think she's got the earlies to be a contender.
So on that day there was like a benchmark 60-something, and they ran comparable time, fractionally faster in that maiden, but the last 600 was very, very slow. Those horses that she beat were even slower. So they're not great quality. But she herself, to the eye, was good.
Yep.
She looks like a proper stayer on the up, so you wouldn't doubt her if it turned into, for some reason, a very hard staying test.
She is actually called Pineapple Girl, but she's a lump of a horse, and I do like pineapple lumps.
I don't think she was much of a lump of a horse either. She looks like a beauty.
Here's somebody who knows more about the pineapple. It's Pam Gerard.
She's fitted in nicely here. She's had a look on the grass on Saturday. She's a little bit new on Saturday. She worked with on the rocks this morning, much more professional, actually quite eye-catching in her work this morning. So, yeah, last start win in Melbourne with Mickey Dion. Mike's flying her over here. If she performs well on Saturday, she'll be a late nom for the Oaks.
Okay, you get a good guide because it seems like it's going to be a decent field for this race on Saturday.
Those filly races are always good. There's some really nice 3-year-old fillies around. So, look, she didn't beat much when she was in Melbourne, but, you know, Mike doesn't see anything over here that he doesn't think is half a chance.
Got to respect her, fellas, but to be honest, if you put Loire in that field, like some of those horses are beating 100 metres, they're just no good.
Look,
so you put Loire in there or Jennifer Eccles and they panel them as well. So that's not disrespecting Pineapple Girl, but it's hard to jump on.
I agree absolutely completely. Look, I marked her 40 for this particular race. Look, she could come out and prove one wrong and show some hidden talent, but off those sectionals, she just didn't seem to have the tactical early speed or the turn of foot. It was a staying test, but look, I don't know that she's going to be settling handy, but maybe they will.
With all that in play, and I think there's at least 3 chances. Where's the bet go? Where's the money go?
Look, I thought that Loire and Jennifer Eccles would win this race sort of 70 to 75% of the time. I couldn't find an early bet therefore between them, but like either one of the two, if you like one, back one. I haven't placed any bank bet on them, but I've got Loire ahead of Jennifer Eccles.
Yeah, I'm gonna play her. I'm gonna play Loire here. I like her, and I'm gonna have my statutory double. 1, 2, 3, top of the book into Dragon Leap, and I'm going to go against Dragon Leap with the 2 fillies in there as well. So there we go. Got a unit on that. If we get the 2 favourites home, it's not going to pay anything. But if I can get one of the others
there's
up,
another way you can play this, and I know what both of your answers are going to be to this question. Here's the market for the New Zealand Oaks. So looking past this race, who's
this is where Pineapple Girl will be interesting, because like she could well develop into an Oaks filly from this. You know, it's that type of race in recent years.
Because we're thinking travelling light, and potentially from what we're seeing this Saturday to elicit potentially go to the Derby. So
I spoke to Roger James during the week as well. Grandiflora's in the paddock at the moment. So I don't think she's going to be getting there.
Aren't we thinking that Loire's going to be the better Oaks filly? Isn't that just the case?
That's what it's always seemed to be. Then she had that hiccup, but then she turned that around in the 1,000 Guineas. And she races like she would be.
I wouldn't. $31.
Okay. I wouldn't be giving up on Bergamot. I really liked what I saw from her. I'm not sure what was going on. Sort of, she got a little bit of a check early, but I look forward to seeing her wherever she goes next. I'm assuming it would be Ellerslie or maybe
Hastings. Basel, it'll be one or the other.
I think everybody has the same routes. They go to those races.
There are a few options to pick.
It's going to be a great race. Looking forward to it, and of course, it could be crucial for that New Zealand bloodstock filly of the year. Good luck to all the connections involved. Two of the best fillies in the country aren't going to be there. They're taking on the boys in the Waikato Guineas for $100,000. Dragon Leap dominates the market. Had a long conversation with Jason Waddell today, who, as I said, is now the new rider for Dragon Leap, and I'm pretty sure right at the Derby, if he rides it well this week, he said, exact quote, the TAB has got this wrong. It should not be $1.95. I think Travelling Light has at least as good a winning chance. They should be each of two at $2.25, which was a very intelligent sentence for a jockey discussing punting. Because usually they don't discuss punting the way we do. They talk about it as my horse, their horse. He said, I think they should be each at $2.25.
He knows his form, Jason, so...
Well, he's had 2 weeks off, you see, he's been suspended. So he said to me, I've done nothing but research these and watch videos and read all the reports.
Well, I would have liked to have asked him what he thought about Dragon Leap's last 600, last time it raced, when it won at Auckland, because he rode Julius that day, and Dragon Leap's last 600 was better than Julius.
Well, he said to me, he said, well, I think I'll settle back. He said,
in a sit sprint as well, of a sprint.
He said, I think I'll settle back, and he said, I think Sam will be behind me with Travelling Light. So Aidan's mapped this and mapped it as Jason saw it as well. He thought that was exactly what you've got there would happen to the race. And he said, then it's just a case of who rides who better. If Sam gets momentum on me or if I get to push her out, he said, that might be the race. He actually summed it up very nicely. He said, all these small fields, sometimes the best horses don't win them, the best ride wins them.
Also, what pace overall do you think that'll be run at, Aidan? Like, what would be the overall tempo?
It's going to be pretty moderate, isn't it? There's no need for it to be fast run. Andrew Campbell's got a couple of horses there who'll both settle in the first 4. It's going to be advantageous for them to be going as slow as possible. I would have thought to at least enhance their chances, turning it into a sit sprint and leaving those 2 horses down the back, Dragon Leap and Travelling Light, if there is any touch of vulnerability in them.
If it's a sit sprint, I don't think either of those Campbell runners can win the race. I just don't think that they are anywhere near as fast as Dragon Leap and Travelling Light. We saw that from Travelling Light at Trentham. She reeled off a scarcely believable last 600 to run past Harlech over a mile, where they really only sprinted up the last 450 metres, 500 metres in that race. If the race turns into a walk and sprint, then that's where Travelling Light will have her advantage over Dragon Leap. If it's run genuinely, I think what I've seen that Dragon Leap might have that advantage. This is what we thought this day, and in the end, they just didn't go quite hard enough for Harlech, and the tempo was perfect for Travelling Light. Whenever they haven't gone fast, apart from the 1,000 Guineas where she was exposed early, she's shown a devastating sprint. I'd like to see her in a really sternly run race. And I don't know that we'll get that in the Guineas, and that's the issue.
No, exactly. And with these type of horses there, who says to see that the Derby's going to be a big field either this year? I can see it being like, a 10 to 12 horse Derby field as well. So,
should we look at the favourite for the Derby as you're talking, because I know you're both huge fans of Dragon Leap. Everybody who's seen these performances he looks a horse waiting for 2,000, but you get the feeling the camp are thinking about one race and one race only, and that's the race coming up on February 29th.
I think it's 2 races. I think they've got the Australian Derby firmly in their sights.
I wasn't looking that far ahead.
Yeah, I think they want to pick off both Derbies, and I think he's the type of horse who can definitely do that. Whether that means that this one might not be such a priority, but he's just such a good horse, and you can't deny just what he's been doing. So he could have a lead-up run where he's only at 90% and he can still beat them. The only thing is he's up against 2 really high-class fillies here. One who's met him before and beat him as well, and has since gone on to be a Group 2 winner. So I think these top 3 in the race are just making this a high-quality rendition of this Waikato Guineas. It's lacking a little bit of depth, unfortunately, but at the top level is all class.
So I think a lot might depend. We'll just get the thoughts of co-trainer Lance O'Sullivan on just how tight and ready Dragon Leap is before I get your boys' bets on the Guineas. Here is one of our all-time great jockeys and our trainer.
I wanna lock in your love. I think we're close enough. Could I lock in your love, baby?
He's not the sort of horse he needs a lot of work. and he's done his final hit out here this morning, so it's just a matter of ticking over.
It's pretty impressive the last time we've seen him. How's he progressed since then?
He certainly hasn't gone backwards. It's a bit of a gap between runs, and whatever he does Saturday, there's certainly a lot of improvement in the horse. He's certainly not primed for this. This is certainly not the grand final.
You're getting up to 2,000 metres now. How's he going in his work with the extra distance in mind?
He seems fine. As I say, he's a very relaxed track worker, and I think it's just a matter of training him where he gets out there and he's going to settle, so we certainly, just want to ride him to get the trip, and hopefully it's just all a part of the learning curve for him.
Talk about that learning curve, and he's having more and more time on the track, more races obviously as well. Have you noticed change in him?
Look, he came over here he came to Matamata races on Sunday just for a look at the place and a walk around. We didn't work him, but I think the great thing about the horses is his attitude. He's like a very old horse to do anything with, and it's just a matter of sort of if he can progress and put that into his races where he's relaxed and he settles, and especially as the distances increase, that's what we want to see. I think it's just a matter of training him to, the grand final is to run in a derby and to be competitive in a derby. So, we just want to see him settle and to be looking to be running on towards the finish.
Will he be in Avondale Guineas in between, or will he go straight into the derby?
No, our plan at this stage is to go straight in. He's only had the 3 runs, and, we only have him while he's a 3-year-old. So, all going well, we're hoping to take him to Australia after the New Zealand Derby if he gets that far.
He costs a lot, and he's worth every cent. He may well be a Derby winner in just over a month's time. Gentlemen, is this his race? Is it not? Are you with the filly, who never disappoints us? What's the bet in the Waikato Guineas?
I can't tell you either way whether it's his race or not. I'll be able to tell you afterwards. He's a hell of a horse. He's a beauty. One of the most impressive winners of that Auckland Guineas that I've seen, and I think he'll be the Derby winner. Whether it's a Waikato Guineas winner or not, I'm just not too sure. I really like these fillies. I really like Two Illicit, and Two Illicit's going to be in the perfect spot in that trail. She's beaten him once at their only meeting. She was really good in that Royal Stakes last time out, so I'd be covering them, and that's all I'm doing in the second leg of my double, is taking all 3 because I think it's even. I'm happy to back him in the Derby, just to be a little bit wary about the 195 in the Guineas. You're a bit more bold.
It's really interesting hearing the thoughts of Jason Waddell, and he is the preeminent, I think, form analyst from our riding ranks. But I don't think his success in the race is going to be as much dictated to by him or Sam Collett as it will be by Danielle Johnson and Ryan Elliott, who ride the 2 Campbell horses, Peloton and Pimlico. The tempo that they set will dictate how much Travelling Light can get into the race or how much Dragon Leaps. And we think this is better staying qualities, or Two Illicit's better staying qualities will come to the fore. Hell of a race. I think Dragon Leap's the best horse in it, so I'm happy to be backing him.
It's going to be a great race. All that coming to you, of course, on Trackside 1 on Saturday afternoon. The preview show, the Punters Lounge, kicks off at 10:30 for the last minute thoughts, and of course the track update. The Waikato Guineas has been a great lead up since the Derby has been moved to the Derby at Ellerslie, and one of the horses to win both was, of course, Silent Achiever.
Here comes Ocean Park, following them through a Silent Achiever. And behind these then we've got, guess what? Ocean Park made the lead. Silent Achiever about to come off his back now. Ocean Park and Silent Achiever, they drew clear. I reckon the filly's got him. She has. Silent Achiever, brilliant win.
Raceform is your new racing weekly, with expert form analysis, informed industry views, and the stories that make the game great. Subscribe now, or available every Thursday in selected stores. Raceform, showcasing the best of our sport.
Don't be pipped at the post with TAB's bonus bag. Place a fixed odds win bet through your account on selected races and get up to $30 back as a bonus bet if your pick comes second, third or fourth. TAB's bonus bag. Now you're in the game.
The First Call, brought to you by Kamada Park, one-stop shop for your horse's preparation.
Welcome back. Don't forget, of course, Riccarton race on Saturday as well. They have an excellent sprint race coming up there and some really good depth in their fields as well. What's the special going to be for you here watching on a Thursday night or Friday morning? And boys, there'll be some fans for this.
Oh, yeah.
The Dragon into the Shark. Scary Animals. Nice price. 3.6. What are you
I
thinking?
don't like scary animals, but I like good horses.
Yes.
And I think they are. So I'm pretty keen on that special, actually, and I don't mind the extra 10% that bookies have tacked on to what their opening price all up would be.
That might be really popular because they are the two hype horses, aren't they?
Well, the other thing is this. If you back it and Dragon League wins the first leg, you can cover on Avantage in the second leg because you've got basically Tiago Shark running for 3.6.
And if you're a travelling light or a too illicit person, or you don't want to go Dragon League, then you can do a multi anyway.
You can. All right, on to your bets and where you're spending your bank and where all the money is heading. So there's the leaderboard.
He's still in front,
and not by a lot over Jason. So you're comparable either skill or lack of skill, but it looks like skill because you're making money, so that's good.
Yeah,
And B-Pop's not comparable. By the way, Brendan Popwell couldn't be here today. He was at Tauranga today for covering the trials and doing a good job.
He was making massive units.
And backing something from $26 to $7.
Exactly.
What was that thing called today? Buy your BJU or something?
Yes, yeah.
Everyone was happy after it won. I wasn't happy. I didn't know about it.
Bookmakers
Jason,
weren't either.
Neither did the bookmakers, which is good news. What's your bets, Jay?
We'll start off with Te Rapa and look, in race 3, it's a bit of a niggly race, but spoke with Moira Murdoch about All in Vogue and Polsey. She's very happy with them both. Putting the blinkers on All in Vogue, I think it's a race that tactically will suit both of her runners. One's going to be at 15 and the other one's at 5, so you're getting big prices. I think they're decent. It's a mapping feel, that race for me. Race 7, the Herbie Dyke, True Enough and Lover Lover at Riccarton. Devious, very keen on him being able to have success again. Sensei, that race shapes perfectly for him. As long as the track's not too wet, there's a little bit of rain around. Obviously, he's not a horse that's going to operate on worse than dead. And Capadano will be my best in the last there. Has had 2 trials for this resuming run fresh in 65 grade over 1,600 metres and 25 the TFC Special Way, Rod.
I'm going against you in that third race. I'm going to take Beauty Star with a 10-unit bet there. Brazier, this horse trolled superbly before its debut, and I think it's ready to go. First up at Te Rapa, Loire and Ellis Classic. There's my doubles and my trebles. Make sure you take a screenshot of those. I think I've been pretty safe in them, but if we can get a second or third favourite up, and we might get a bit of value. Tiago Shark for 16 a win in the PDC Group Sprint. At Riccarton, Final Savings was a certainty beaten last time. A real eye-catcher at Wingatui, and I thought the race shape really did suit Sensei, so I'm there as well.
Okay. The social media competition, I'll bother BP, then we'll get to the social media competition. B-Pop's gone for race 4 Awapuni, Princess Rihanna, and Platinum Spirit in race 7.
He's into his bangers, isn't he? Rihanna and Bad and Bouge was the horse that was successful.
I think a lot of people are into Rihanna, to be completely honest.
Fair.
And Monlula at Te Rapa in race 6, and James Barry, so 15 units on both of those in race 9, and he's gone 25 units on the special at 3.6. Okay, best for the boys. A-Rod's gone for the Shark, Pops has gone for Platinum Spirit, and Jason Tarn's come up with Capadano, and before the show we text Terry Ray, because you can never get her on trackside, and she said the horse is well but it's got a wide barrier draw, so that was her concern there. So we're texting people now, we're not ringing people anymore because we're so modern. I'm going to go Beauty Star, by the way. Race 3 is my best of the weekend because I couldn't tip the Shark at the $1.70, but Beauty Star for me. Had a good talk to Tony Pike today. He was very confident about its chances. Now our comp winner for the $100 take on against us was Michael Tyler. I think I might have met Michael Tyler.
Yeah, he had a runner in the
Karaka Million. And this is the guy
yeah.
who went to his stag, went to the Karaka Million,
right.
had a great time, went to his stag, and we're partying up, and the boys said we enjoyed it so much, we'll fly back and buy a horse at Karaka. My sort of people. Spent $10,000, got a horse in the Karaka.
It's the same Michael Tyler. It might be a common enough name though, isn't it?
I'm thinking it's the same bloke.
Probably.
If it's not, forget everything I said a minute ago. He's gone $100 on Rock on Wood, $100 on Rock on Wood. If he makes more money with his bet than we make with ours, he'll get the $900 from the comp. What's the one thing you're looking forward to at Te Rapa on Saturday?
Oh, it's just a cracking race day, isn't it?
No, you only get one.
Sprint, well, Te Ako Shark.
Te Ako Shark.
I don't like one. Dragon Leap into Shark. That
Well,
TFC
that just
special.
sells the day. doesn't it? We're going to kick off at 10:30 on Saturday morning. My apologies, with the Punters Lounge. We'll have a huge amount of guests there and a track report and lots of information for Rickenham, but of course the big day coming up at Te Rapa. If you are betting this weekend, we're heading down to the Waikato. We hope it's successful for you. Thanks for watching the Punters Lounge here on Facebook Live.